Great. So, hey everyone, Jesse. I'm going to go ahead and just go through this demo of SimpleRisk. So to kind of show what that is before I actually do it, I'm going to go to the SimpleRisk website. And so a couple weeks back, we actually had a GRC analyst come on board and kind of explain what their day-to-day was like. And so this might explain a little bit of like maybe what a tool they would use would look like. So specifically, this SimpleRisk boasts to take care of like governance and risk and compliance type stuff. You could think of it as a place that has what they call risk registers. Basically, it's a place where you can put like, hey, I found that there are clear text passwords being stored in LSAS or whatever from a pen test or something, hopefully, or not hopefully. And that way you can track it and hopefully get buy-in to fix the thing, or some people could accept it or what have you. Anyways, so they do have a free version in GitHub. They also have a Docker image. They also have paid services. So what you're seeing here is some of the areas where they have like on-prem where you can pay yearly. And I don't work for these people. I'm just kind of showing you what they've got. SimpleRisk hosted. I've done a bunch of research on various different GRC platforms. And from what I can tell, for me, the easiest one to use was this one. But everyone, your mileage may vary. You may want to check it out. They do provide a free download. You got to probably fill out all this stuff, but we're not going to do that here. And oh, it looks like, oh, that's interesting. I said no, and it just took me to the site where you can download it. That's funny. So I don't actually have to give my username and password. Hey, there you go. Hacker pro tip. Don't give them your information. You'll still get to it. It looks like it's as easy as just putting this one command in. Anyways, any other questions before I really get into it about SimpleRisk, the platform? Cool. Well, let's actually see what's going down here. So what I'm going to do, though, is I have a Proxmox machine, and I have an Ubuntu on there, and I made a snapshot before SimpleRisk so that I can, return it back if I need to. Who knows what may fail. So, but what I want to show off also and provide others if you want is looking forward to just giving away more secrets. Yes, I always love giving away my secrets. Here we go. So hopefully I don't give away too much, but here we go. Here's all my playbooks. We want this one, playbook for SimpleRisk. We'll check it out. So I'm going to do sudo nano play, tab that complete, si, tab that complete, press enter. Do my secret password. Okay, cool. So for those that don't know, what I'm doing here is this is Ansible. It's this automation type deal. Basically in Ansible, I say, hey, give me these hosts, and I call them all the Ubuntu hosts basically. And there's another file that actually correlates this Ubuntu name with a bunch of IP addresses and the credentials to get in to the system to run what's here. So the next thing you'll see is become true. This basically makes you become, it escalates you up. It's like doing sudo is what it is. And so these next things are pretty much like, hey, these are variables. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use a container. It's going to be called SimpleRisk. The container image is this. And this is all from Docker Hub. If you go to Docker Hub. So if we go, let's look at this. We go here, Docker Hub, Hub, SimpleRisk. Cool. Docker, what? Okay, here we go. Cool. So this is where this lives 5 months ago. So this is 2 months ago. So this is being updated. So that's great. So that's where this is grabbing the information from, is this is repository right here. So that's what that does. Cool. And so we go down and another thing that this Ansible stuff, it'll do tasks for you. So like I can start installing with apt. I can just start installing stuff like all these things right here, curl, software properties, all this stuff, basically Python 3, setup tools, all the things I need for like installing Docker and SimpleRisk and all that kind of stuff. So I also add like Docker stuff because, well, we're grabbing a Docker image. So I need to like make sure the Ubuntu box has Docker. So I'm putting that all in there, updating it, all that stuff, whatever. But the end result is down here where I basically tell it, hey, run SimpleRisk, the Docker container detached. So just let it go. And we'll be accessing it on port 443. So cool. That's great. So now that we know that, and I'm just for all transparency, here's a sudo nano host. So this is the file that I talked about. So we have Windows, Debian, and the Ubuntu file is the one where we called out in that file. And so just for Warlock's pleasure, I went ahead and I put the private key here so I can access it via SSH. And so with that,
I love you, man.
Hey, you know,
Yeah.
back at you. All right, Ansible playbook is what we're say here, and then we're gonna say playbook. Oh yeah, SimpleRisk that, and then so if I'm using a user that doesn't have sudo privileges, I'm gonna have to say --ask become pass or password. I think it's pass. Let's press enter and find out. So press and enter. Oh, there we go. And so I would put it, and I would say go, and it would start doing the stuff. It's already in the system with that SSH key. That's pretty much what this means. I've just done it so much I kind of know what that means. You can't really tell from what it says right there. And then so the tasks, now it's doing that whole like installing the different things, doing the Docker, adding the Docker. All this green means, yep, good to go. Installing Docker. And then it's going to pull the Docker image. This is going to take the longest depending on how big that Docker image is. So if we go back here, how big is... Yeah, I really don't know how to tell how big these things are, but anyways, it's that big. It shouldn't take too long. Usually Docker images are not that long. But if anybody here on the call knows how to like really quick tell me how big a other than git cloning it down and doing a cat or an ls-lah.
Can you view this file from Docker Hub? Because it's just an image. It should be if you do like a search for it.
From Docker Hub. So this is I don't know. Let's find out. So here it is, and then we go here, and you're thinking somewhere in here, huh? Ooh, well, yeah, it tells you how many people did it. Well, anyways, oh no, what is this? Oh, of course, right? Demo gods, thank you. Let's see. It's already in use by container ID. All right. So quick troubleshooting. Sorry. I think this is the machine, so we'll go sudo docker images. We'll look for images. Actually, don't look for image, but we'll look for image. So you get to do some troubleshooting. So here's the image. Cool, that's great. Sudo docker ps. We'll see if anything's running. No, just my juice shop is running. Okay. Then we'll do sudo docker. We'll say remove SimpleRisk. And so that should be removing the container like it just did. Okay, so if we go back up here, oh, so sorry. So this is what's good about running Ansible though. You don't have to like copy and paste or whatever, do all the manual stuff over and over again. You really just press up once and kind of do your thing and it'll go through all the stuff again. So yeah, so the other great thing about Ansible is, oh my gosh, yeah, just does all this repetition for you. So while that does that again, because that does take a while, I'm going to actually go to this demo site, which is super cool. I'm going to copy and paste and put this in text. And the just so you know, for the username and password, they're both user. And so everybody here can go to this website, can log in with user. And this is a demo site for them, and they have all sorts of dummy stuff in there. But this really kind of, if you want to touch things yourself, you can go ahead and go in here and see the various things. What I'm going to touch on is the risk management part, and mostly these 5 steps. These are like the 5 steps, like a GRC potentially GRC analysts will potentially do. So let's go ahead and kind of pause and see what happened over here. Hey, so it looks like everything's running. Cool. So it started a container, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all that's good. Great. So now that that container's up on 192.168.0.70, and I know it's index.php. Yep, I know. We need to fix the SSL cert, but not doing that right now. So I'm just going to continue. And then everybody, this is kind of what you will always see. So I come up with a username, full name, email address, pick one of these ones, probably not that one. Password, I don't know what that password is. Pick something you remember. Cool, and then you create it. Once you create this, it'll be like, well, now log in. And so you log in with the same username that you used and the password you used. Just like so. And here we are in SimpleRisk, brand new. Here's our instance ID. And they want you to register. So if you register, you get extra stuff. You get these like extra stuff of extra upgrade features if you do that. We can go over that later in the situation. So the next thing we'll do here is we'll look at kind of the workflow that I was about to go into over here on the demo site, but I'm going to do it in my Docker site because I have this configure area where if you go into the demo, you don't have that. That is an elevated privilege that they're not going to give, you know, the world. And so we get that. So I want to show off a few things with that in regards to that and like the workflow. So we'll go like, let's go to the risk management area and let's say, well, let's submit a risk. Let's say some pen tester went ahead and was like, hey, Jesse, here's my screenshot of me dumping these creds from a Firefox browser with lasagna right here down here, using this atomic red team technique T1555.003-9, dumping creds from Firefox browser on a Linux machine. And I'm like, I don't know. Is that really the proof you're going to give me? Is that for reals? Let me see. Okay, it looks like they're going to do they're going to list, find string, password text. What are they doing? CD temp. Oh, they're going in the temp. Okay. You kind of review and you're like, okay, they're doing, I don't know why it's cutting off the very bottom. So it looks like they're going to LS, LAH, the password area. So once they do that, oh, I'm still not seeing the proof I need. Oh, wait, there they did it. Cat. They did a cat Firefox password. It looks like lasagna project, bang, bang. Oh yeah, password, some, password, not. So, okay, so they did get that. They ran that, no problem. Okay, that's a risk. I think that's a risk. That's a problem. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to say Linux, Firefox, dumped with, I don't know how to spell that thing. Lasagna. I don't know. Anyways, you get the point. And then really that's the only thing required. If you want to just make one risk and have it submitted in the risk register, it could just be that. This extra stuff is really just extra. You could be like, I'm going to map it to these things, and we could call it a priv s since you're going to use those passwords to probably try to elevate your credentials, or it could be unauthorized. There's lots of ways to skin the cat. We're not going to go into that. And then there's a threat modeling. We can just say this is hacking, right? You can get very granular in this area. So we're going to go category. Is this physical? No, this is not physical. We're going to say it's sensitive data management. It's not well managed. We're going to go site. Oh, well, we don't have any site stuff. So this is where I could go. All right, let's go into the configure, open up configure, and let's add a site. So I'm going to go here, go to configure, go to, let's see here. I think it's add remove values. And then you can go into change our not review. So review, did I say categories? What did I say? Somebody, sites and locations. We want sites and locations. So we go sites and locations. And then we're going to say, we're going to add a new Null404 add. Cool, we've now added it. So let's go back here and let's go under this. Oh no, I bet I have to refresh, don't I? Well, see, it's there in here right away. So let me go ahead and refresh, reload, and sites, and there it is, Null404. So it's as easy as that to configure all these fields. So that makes it really cool. Linux, I'm gonna say dump pass of Firefox. Anyways, cool. So yeah, so this is all, very configurable, and that's really cool. We can also add like control numbers, or AKA your service ticket. If you want to put your service ticket, you want to give it a risk score, right? You can a risk source. You can say, hey, whatever this is. There's various things you can do. Likelihood. It's happening. This is like, it's happening. Current impact, right? To me, this is a major thing. You want to be able to like do a lot of things based off of this. Like our detection didn't detect it, right? Someone allowed it to happen. No one knew about it. This is a major issue. And so this part is kind of the big part, this risk assessment part. This is where you'd be like, hey, no detection in place. Please install EDR CrowdStrike and then enable sysmon and audit logs to catch anything else, blah, 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 right? You do your risk assessment, because someone could take this information and be bad. And you can have additional notes here if you want. Supporting document could be that video you had, or maybe it's really probably a document that more like says it. And then there's all sorts of other stuff. I'm not going to go into all the stuff. You can like give it an owner to it. Like, hey, I assign it to this owner. Hey, I assign it to this manager or team. I'm assigning it to this team, so forth and so on. You hit the button, submit risk. Now you've got a risk. It does this whole like scoring system based on some stuff, right? And now the next plan. So this is a cycle of 5 things to do. The next thing would be plan the mitigation. So here's that thing we just created. It's now under this plan mitigation area. So we can go in here and we go, okay, mitigation planned. No. So let me click on no. And I'm going to say, I don't know, plan mitigation will be, May the 4th be with you. And we're going to mitigate this. We're going to say it's significant. It could be trivial. I don't know. Or we'll just say it's considerable. It's a considerable effort. Anyways, you could put all this kind of stuff, right? What's the cost of that? And put some dollar value to that, and the owner again, and all this cool stuff you can kind of add to it. And what's the solution? What's our recommendations? All this fun stuff for mitigation. And then you can go over here to the right, save the mitigation. Cool, that's been saved. Excellent. We're done with mitigation for the most part. Again, I'm really cruising through a lot of this stuff. And since I scrolled down a bit and I revealed this audit trail and I looked at it, just so you know, it's showing every time I kind of am doing something for its audit trail of this. So back to our 5 steps. Number 3 is perform reviews. So here again, here's our same one. And if we had a whole bunch, there'd be a big list here. That's kind of the idea. And so we'll go ahead and go, okay, under this management review area. And if we wanted, we can be like, okay, let's filter between, yep, there has been a review. No, there hasn't. Or, hey, there's some past due ones. We don't really have that going on because there's just no, because we just submitted it and we haven't reviewed it. So we can go in here and be like, Jesse's I'm going to, approve this risk. Next step is to submit for production issue, consider for a project. Depends on how your company wants to go about, right, fixing that. So, project name, fix Linux cred dump. And then whatever your comment is, so forth and so on. And then it says, based off your risk score, it'll do a next review date of a certain point in time into the future. and says, would you like to do a different date? So maybe, we talk to the team and we talk to the project manager and all this stuff. And they're like, well, no, we're not really we can't do it by July 31st. Let's do it to a different date. And so you can be like, fine, I'm going to go ahead and say, 25th because you want to be pushy. No, you can do, whatever the date you want to push it back to, or what have you, whatever you agree upon, you can do that. So great flexibility here for that. And so you can go ahead and for this whole review piece, we're just going to say, this is being submitted as the risk. Great, successful. Let's go to step 4. Plan the project. All right, so we need to plan a project. So I probably have to start a project. So fix cred dump, due date on this date, consulted by me, business owner is me, data classification confidential, and we'll say add. And there it is. There's the project. Cool. We have a project in play. We can do more about the project. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. We can edit some things. I'm just going to go to the very bottom here to 5 to review regularly. So this is all kind of part and parcel to, I believe, the NIST standards. There's like certain things you're supposed to do. So this is kind of playing in that way of thinking that they have. Part of the thing is in their thing is you've got to review your risks and stuff. So anyways, doing the review. Cool. We have this here. The next review date is 8/25. Like we mentioned, we can see all the inherent risk. We can see the days it was open. Oh yeah. And to that effect, what's also cool, not only can you, filter these things, but you can go to reporting. And in reporting over time and over a whole bunch of different risks, you'll see aggregated data, which is cool. You can be like, oh, all the open risks throughout all these different months through, 2022 to 2023, I've got this going on. These are how many things I've closed. These are the trends. These are the open. Obviously, this one's still open. This is how many have been planned. These are ones been reviewed. Oh, there's only one, so it's going to be all green, right? So really cool dashboarding stuff they have, and they've got kind of the same things I was talking about over here, with a whole bunch of other cool reporting mechanisms. Now, I do want to point out that they have these assessments. So if you do want to do like NIST 800, 171 or whatever, these ones are free, which is cool. But if you want something more, you're going to have to pay. And if you want to do your own custom ones, which that's like my preferred method, you have to pay to get that custom feature in there. I don't blame them. That's such a cool feature to have. So there's much more to this. There's governance, compliance, asset management. There's a bunch of other stuff, but I'm going to kind of just leave it at that basic GRC analyst, kind of what they could potentially go through in a day or months, weeks, years, kind of a thing with a risk in these 5 steps and kind of reporting. So I'm going to open it up to the floor for additional questions, and I'm going to go to the demo site.
Okay, I got some questions for you.
Yeah.
So in the plan mitigation section, where you can designate, second section below.
Oh, yeah.
Risk management, plan mitigation. Or, well, I don't know if it was there, but you were configuring it up and there was a place for cost.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever that was.
I
was it plan projects or something? Or no, I think it was
go to review.
Maybe submit risk or something.
I'm going to go to the risk itself. Let's go to the risk itself.
Anyway, so yeah, maybe somewhere in there. I don't know.
I think the review, let's see. It might go away if I didn't put, here we go. Cost. Yeah.
So is there any feature within that will help you, like a little calculator or something that'll help you figure out what that mitigation cost could be or should be?
Yeah, that's it.
I think
oh, go for it.
Yeah, so okay. I've actually built out like an entire platform in Jira for this, like this exact same thing. And when it came to like mitigation costs, I think it's just to put a dollar amount on it, and those could be tangible costs or intangible costs. And you really have to just weigh it. It depends on what like this risk, like if it causes a breach, how much is that gonna cost the company?
Yeah, like
Um,
because I mean that could be a whole process in and of itself
yeah,
to estimate, in a soft sense or a hard sense. But essentially, something's got to help you gauge that. So, other than just anyway, I was just wondering if there was like something that would assist you within this product that you saw already as you've gone through this.
Yeah, I don't think I saw, but I did. I think I saw it. I'm gonna submit another risk, and I'm gonna say Warlock is a risk. Let's see, and then I know there's an area when you do the risk score, you can try different kind of risk scores and adjust. So I go to configure. Let's see here. Configure risk formula. Like I can change the
Oh,
formulas, but can I?
okay. Yeah.
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 Well, this I don't know if I'm getting at what you want though with the money wise, but we can definitely do the risk.
I mean, you might have a simple table that you've defined according to risk or something, right? I mean, that could be some way to guide that.
Yeah, it definitely can be a way to guide it. Yep.
I don't know.
Oh,
and that's
asset
mitigation.
valuation. Here we go. Asset
Yeah,
valuation. Automatic asset valuation. So it looks like you
Yeah.
can change some things, but it's not a calculator. It doesn't help. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there are other tools. I mean, Sponger probably knows of some tools, or maybe like he's crafted up a spreadsheet or something.
yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
the times, like we didn't have our team, we didn't have money allocated to like a full-on like GRC tool. There are other ones that are out there, but we just built it in Jira, like
Yeah.
completely from scratch. We created our own project, added all the fields similar to like what this is, and then just started risk assessing different assets and like we risk assessed a 2008 R2 server. Why'd we have that on our network? Like, well, it was used for some like old legacy application that we just couldn't get rid of. And so then it's like, you risk assess it. How much could it cost the company? Blah, blah, blah. And just go from there.
Well, that was my first question. My second question is, as you were going through all that one screen where you were figuring out all the costs and whatever, I didn't see any kind of a field to designate a scapegoat, or
I think you can accept
maybe
the risk.
can you set a table of like likeliest person to be blamed and fired in order?
Well, it's the owner. Yep, it's the owner
Okay,
or the owner's manager.
that could suffice. I don't know.
Yeah, I would vote for the owner's manager.
Okay.
But here's something also I did at Ren ISAC this year at the EDUCAUSE thing. Actually, real quick, there's this thing from CIS right here. This not this BIA tool. So literally go to this address, register for it, bi.cissecurity.org, and it goes into what you're talking about. It says, hey, estimate legal costs, replacement costs, staff time on the incident, all these things. It tries to, and it doesn't do a calculator either, but it kind of breaks down like, hey, you do the math, it's like $400 to pay a lawyer per hour, and you're going to use that lawyer how long in this, engagement? So put that number in there.
Yeah, I
So
tell
this
you, coming up with some kind of a way to calculate this stuff up helps you when you're tracking an existing issue, just like what you went through, right? Where you're simulating. But it also helps when you want to build a case to sell them, right? Like, you could avoid all this cost, and let me show you some numbers, and then show them how it all breaks down, and then they go, but you could save all that money if you just bought this thing I'm trying to sell you, buddy.
Right? Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that how the thinking goes, Sponger?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. Like our CIO in one of my previous jobs, he would essentially be like my director would essentially be the approver of the risks, and if it involved different teams like our DevOps teams or our coding teams or engineering teams, like the director of that team would have to then like justify it to us, and we'd talk about it and how much remediation would cost our dev team and how much time it would take, and if it was something that we just couldn't do because there was other priorities, then it would all go all the way up to this CISO to basically say, hey, like we accept this risk for now, but we're going to reevaluate in like a month's time. And so like the whole process is like risk assessing and then performing the reviews and then working on the projects. Like maybe it didn't get done in 2 months, but maybe it got done in 6 months. Like, is that an acceptable risk? So it depends on what the risk is, because priorities were constantly changing too. So
Right on.
Well said. Thanks, Bunger. Well, great. I think that's the end of my presentation. If there's no other questions,